Hi, Dwayne Lessner from Technical Marketing. Today we're going to take a look at Nutanix Cloud Clusters, NC2, on Azure. We'll take a look at the architecture and then go into some use cases. And then we'll get into showing a deployment, followed by using Nutanix DR to show migration of workloads from on-prem into the public cloud, and followed up by our software called Nutanix Move, which can move non-Nutanix workloads onto a cluster, and that cluster could be your newly deployed Azure cluster. Let's take a look. NC2 on Azure is deploying the Nutanix AOS software directly onto bare metal provided by Microsoft. This is a great solution because it allows you to have a hybrid cloud reusing your Nutanix software licenses. You get to use and deploy your Azure account credits, and you have access to any of the Azure services. You get to be in complete control. You also have great performance, and there's no retooling for your Nutanix administrators. Life remains the same as they're moving workloads into Azure. And you have out of the box great networking through virtual flow networking. You're able to maintain your IP addresses even after you move them into Azure. For the use cases and the demos that we're covering, Nutanix DR, so you can quickly use the DR features in Prism Central to move your workloads from on-prem into Azure using protection policies and recovery plans. You can easily expand the nodes in your cluster by updating the capacity of the NC2 portal or automating it with APIs. And then if you want to move from non-Nutanix into Azure, we also have a product called Nutanix Move. Let's get into these exciting demos. Have you ever wanted to quickly move applications from on-prem into Azure? Well, now you can. Today we're going to take a look at Nutanix Cloud Clusters in Azure. We will show the deployment of a cluster through our NC2 portal. I'm Dwayne Lessner, Principal Technical Marketing Engineer, and I'm going to walk you through the process right now. We're in the NC2 portal. We're going to create a cloud account. So we have some existing cloud accounts already, but you can add as many as you like. First, you would create an application inside of Azure to give access, and you just fill in the information. You can also assign what regions you want to give access to. So if you don't want your end users to deploying into every region, you can prevent that. So we're just going to create a general purpose cluster. We'll give our cluster a name, pick the cloud provider, and then use the cloud account. The information listed below is just for engineering. You won't see that in your own NC2 portal. So we hit next, and then we're going to deploy just a 3-node cluster. All the on-prem rules from Nutanix apply. We're going to deploy into a new resource group, but you could deploy into an existing VNet and resource group. That's perfectly fine. This is just really the easiest and quickest way. Really great for doing POCs. You pick your AOS version you want to use, what software licensing tier, and away you go. Here we're deploying a 3-node Prism Central. You can change the password upon deployment as well. And then this also deploys another VNet for Prism Central. It will also peer both of the networks together for you automatically, so you don't have to worry about that. And then we're also deploying Flow Gateway VM. This Flow Gateway VM is going to handle north and south traffic for our user VMs, so they can talk to on-prem and the rest of Azure. And that's how quick it is to get the deployment kicked off. Now here, we're just going through the processes. We're deploying the hosts, and then after the hosts get deployed, we're going to continue on with Prism Central. Prism Central gets deployed, and here you can see that the nodes are forming. And then once Prism Central is deployed, with our Azure cluster fully deployed, we're now looking at our on-prem PC, which we have 3 VMs that we're focused on. I've split out the view from the rest of the VMs by using category filter, so Azure-DR Web, SQL, and FinApp, which directly correspond to these virtual machines that we're going to migrate using Nutanix disaster recovery. They've already have these categories applied. That's why they're showing up. The first step is enabling Leap, which is done, but then we would create a protection policy in Prism Central. We have one pre-created. So if we go and update this, we can view the source and the destination. We also have the RPO already configured to use near sync, so it's going to take a snapshot every minute. It has a roll-up schedule, so if you ever need to roll back, you have lots of recovery points that you can use. And then we can adjust any categories. So we have our 3 categories showing up. It's picking up the 3 VMs which are a part of that. So we're good to go. And then the next step is the recovery plan. So a simple 1, 2, 3. We have our recovery plan here. We're going to give it an update so we can take a look at it. So first step, just name, description, source, destination. So we're good to go there. And then we have our power on sequence. So you can set this up. You could add in delays if you want to ensure in this example, your SQL server is up and running first. Then the FinApp will go. We're using a category versus up top we're using the individual VM. So you have some flexibility there as well. You could add additional stages. If you wanted to, you can have up to 20. And then if you even wanted to add in your own scripting after the VM comes up, you can run those as well. Hit next. And then here is our mapping of our on-prem networks that are coming from our HV IPAM. And then here on the recovery side, we're able to pick up the overlay networking, which is in Prism Central. So everything is set to go. If we had statically assigned VMs, we could do custom mappings if we didn't want just to use the network mapping. So hit done. And then we will, to do the recovery, we always go from the destinations or the destination side. So here, this is our PC in Azure. If we go to the recovery plans, we can use, we have a test option. So this will bring everything over and append test. Pretty easy to clean up, and then we could use a test network to isolate the traffic. But we're going to do a planned failover, which really is the same as a migration, because we're going to shut down the virtual machines and then bring them across. But in the event of a failure, we could use unplanned DR, which will recover from the available snapshots on the recovery side. So source destination, again, already pre-configured. It's picking up our 3 VMs to move from on-prem into Azure. We'll type in failover here as one last safety valve. Now, this does generate an API call, which you could then also use to automate using Nutanix Crossplay. You could also use any available API, a script, or whatever you want to throw it in, whatever you're comfortable with will work. So our recovery plan is kicked off. We're able to go into the recovery plan and check out the status. So if we click on this, the one that's running, and then go to failover, the virtual machines are shutting down. We're taking one last snapshot, and then we will power them on according to our recovery plan stages. So we have a couple virtual machines have finished replicating. We're just waiting on our app server to go. Now they're all finished, and now we're going to power the VMs on according to our plan. So with that, our virtual machines are fully migrated over to Azure, and we can go back into the VM tab on the Azure side and see that they're up and running and perfectly fine. So we have our Move appliance already deployed, running on-prem. You could also deploy this in Azure, and it would work the same way. So here's our web interface for Move. We have some environments already pre-created, and this is our vSphere environment that we already have on the Move appliance. We're going to migrate one of these SQL VMs into Azure. So let's get started here. We'll create a migration plan. We'll just call it SQL. So we're going to move from our vSphere environment to our NC2 cluster that we recently deployed. We'll use our SQL container in case we want to apply different storage policies. So we'll just search for our SQL VMs. So we're going to migrate this SQL VM. It's listed here now. We hit next. We can supply the networking information for the VM. So we're going to pick our server subnet, which has already been created in our Azure environment. We're not going to supply a test network. We hit next. So we'll do everything pretty basic here, and so we'll just hit next here. So we're going to go with the default time zone. You can retain the MAC address for your virtual machine, which can be important depending on when, older licensing schemes, as an example. And then we're just going to do the migration right away, but you could schedule seeding at a offline time. So if you're limited on bandwidth or you just want to wait for off hours, you have that ability. So we'll hit next. So we have the environment configured. We're going to hit start. Once the plan has been validated, we'll start migrating the virtual machine over from our vSphere environment over into Azure. In interest of time, we're going to go straight to the cutover. It'll move any last changes and then we'll be finished. If we look over here, it's already shut down our virtual machine, and it's also left some notes that it's been migrated. And then here now it's just bringing up the virtual machine on the Azure side. So now if we go into our virtual machines in Azure, it's powered on, and we are good to go. And that's how easy it is to move from a vSphere environment over into a Nutanix cluster running in Azure. You have just witnessed how easy it is to deploy and start to migrate your workloads from on-prem into Azure, whether it's on Nutanix or a non-Nutanix workload. Please try this out for yourself at nutanix.com/test drive, where there'll be a menu listed there, and you can click on the link for NC2 on Azure. But if you want to go direct, you can use the link in the blue box. Thank you so much for watching.